Oh, hey, we're live, Bobby.
Here we are, and I believe it's the right page. So,
That's awesome.
So we are Becker Vineyards virtual tasting week 68, and this week we have a very special lineup. This week, it is Dr. Joseph Becker's favorites that we are delighted to take part in this week. Really excited about these. So tonight, with our special panel that we have our owners, Dr. Richard Becker and Dr. Joseph Becker. We also have our winemaker, Jonathan Leahy, and then our assistant winemaker, Rachel Fanning, and then myself, Bobby Totten, the wine club director here. I'm so honored to have you guys with us to share these beautiful wines. I believe the lineup tonight, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, we have the RVM that we're going to start with, then we're going to go to our GSM, and then finish out with our Unita blend cab. So yeah, I'll just go ahead and pass it on over to the panel, and cheers. Have a great night of tasting.
Perfect, Bobby. Thank you for another introduction. And you know, to be honest with you, there's no reason to delineate. You can just say winemakers Rachel and John, because I hate to admit it, but I think Rachel might actually know a thing or two about winemaking, and she keeps me on my toes. So, but the influence here is that Rachel is specifically here to make sure that I don't give you any false information. No, but Rachel, I'm glad you're back. People have wondered where you were. They thought we locked you in a dungeon somewhere. Remember, we practiced. No, I wasn't in a dungeon. Doc, Joe, would you like to kick this off, please?
Yeah, well, I'll just say this is, week 68 of the way we were trying to deal with the pandemic. Alas, the worst possible news is a fourth wave. Looks like it's coming, and it's just this is a disease that exists if people aren't vaccinated or haven't had the infection. And as Dr. Fauci says, you're going to get this. You get your choice. And but I can tell you, having had a number of friends and patients who've gotten the infection, you don't want to get the infection. Joe, would you allow? I've been talking about this for 68 weeks, and I'd love your insight.
No, I think probably one of the only good things, one of the only few good things I think to come out of this is I feel like I hope a generation with an appreciation of being home, of being with family, of being outside, of loving being together, of loving life. And I promised not to say his name, but I have my senior assistant director who has not appeared on camera sitting next to me. But we've heard many times about his golf victories over Richard. So anyways, he's here to direct me. He's smiling. Anyways, but it's always a treat to spend this hour every week with people that love our wine, and people that we love spending time with, and enjoying our wine and enjoying something that we're all passionate about. So anyways.
That's well said. Absolutely. Well, I'm sorry, Doc, you were going to say something.
No, I'm Joe, please.
I will say, I picked these wines. John, I'll turn it back over to you to kind of talk us through them. But I picked these wines because I think they're all sort of indicative, or they embody a lot of the experimentation that we've done, and a lot of the incredible quality of Texas grapes, of what we can do in Texas. Obviously, the Coppola is a California Texas blend, but for example, the RVM and the GSM, these are in a sense grandchildren for us of our original Viognier, or original experimentation with Rhone. I think that all of these wines, I wanted to taste your wines that have really interesting blending characteristics, blending sessions for us, and just a lot of, I think, what we do really well in Texas. And I can expound upon that as we go through each wine, but that was my thinking here.
Well, I think the choices are great, and I love one. I haven't visited the Unita since we did that virtual last year with Corey Beck from Francis Ford Coppola, and I actually texted him. I did not hear back from him, but to let him know that we were doing it again tonight. But the thing I'm glad, I am very, very happy that you chose the BRM. RVM. Wait a minute. What's the label say?
RVM.
RVM. I always want to put Viognier first instead of the Roussanne, but the Roussanne based blend, the complexity of white wine is something we very rarely get into, and I'm very, very excited that you chose that. So with that, I want everyone to pick up this glass, pour a little RVM in it, give it a swirl, a sniff, and a taste. There are some brilliant notes in here.
So go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Joe, lead us off.
Oh.
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
no, I was going to say, the way I think about the RV, just from how we've grown. So this, we first, so for, RVM is, Roussanne, Viognier, Mourvèdre. And so we were, we always talk about we were the first to plant Viognier. So for me, the story that this wine tells the story is that it starts with 1995 or 93 when we first planted Viognier grapes. We were the first winery to do so in Texas. You flash forward to 2015 when 3 Texas wineries win bronze, silver, and gold in a tasting competition in Lyon, France, where there is literally only a bronze, a silver, and a gold. And we took silver, but 3 Texas wines, I think we make some of the best Viognier in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And then in recent years, probably a little bit year or two before that, we made our first, what we call our Prairie Cuvée, which was a blend of Marsanne and Roussanne, the other 2 traditional white blends of the Rhone Valley. And so I think that this wine is just a combination of all of those experiments, all of that success that we've had with growing Rhone style, and particularly white Rhones in Texas.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm just looking at I haven't heard from Sanders in a while from the Netherlands. We just got a shout out from the Netherlands again. So Sanders, welcome.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah, exactly. I found a great little bar in Amsterdam, and it was filled with such friendly people. It was just down from our hotel. Almost missed our boat, but that's a whole other story. Yeah. So, Rachel,
Yeah.
since you are an integral part of what we do, you and I together, along with our team, so there is no explaining the great, I think the great relationship you have to develop in a winemaking team. It's almost impossible to explain. There are days where you don't want to talk to each other, and there are days where it's like, you talk over each other. But overall, the thread through it all is the respect that I have for Rachel and Rachel's opinion. And so when we go into this and we start making these wines, it's quite often humorous. And did you see this? Did you did that? And Rachel will come in up. Did you taste this? Did you smell this? And I'll come in. What does that smell? Did you smell this? And people are like, "What the hell are you guys doing?" I know, right? It's like, just leave us alone.
It's wine tasting.
Exactly. What is it, Rachel? What is it about this wine in particular that you enjoy? And are there any notes that you found amazing, or are there anything that you didn't expect?
Okay, so first, I want to say that when I heard the choices that Joe made, I was like, huh. There were several minutes of me going, that's really interesting. I would not have picked, because this is what, Joe, not just Joe, but Joe would have picked. I was like, that's a really interesting lineup. And it took me a little while of just going, and putting a whole lot of thoughts together to go, we went from this Bordeaux house to, as Texas as a whole had, I think that was a mosquito driving straight into my forehead. Bordeaux house in Texas, learning that we're doing such a great job with Rhone varietals. And I just felt like this was such a nice lineup, such a nice homage of where we have been, where we as a wine industry have come, and what we're doing now. And I really appreciate this one. I think this one is so much fun. So going back to the RVM, is that not the most glorious nose? That is so much fun. I mean, it is
Absolutely.
like honey and honeysuckle and brioche and that Roussanne lemon zest. Now, of course, you know, a little bit of vanilla. I mean, it's got so much going on. And I just think this is such a fun wine.
Absolutely. The nuance of white wine. I feel sorry for people who first thing out of their mouth is, you know, I'm not a white wine drinker. I drink red wine. And I'm like, oh man, I am really sorry. When did you go blind? You know? So, but I can't say enough nice things about this. So what do you really get when you dive into this, Rachel? What are you getting out of it?
So we keep going back to Roussanne being fairly new to our lineup over the last 5 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a really fun wine to play with. It's such an approachable grape, and you can do so many things with it, and it just expresses itself while it maintains its characteristic, it expresses itself in so many different ways. And I think this is a great example. And again, I mean, you get that wonderful brioche, that leesy yeasty taste. You get that lemon zest from that Roussanne that I always associate that bright citrus fruit to it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? No.
Okay, no, we were just waiting for you, but I kind of want Joe to dive into not just his choices. I mean, specifically on this one, Joe, but and if you are feeling loquacious,
Yes.
Explain why you chose these three.
Well, so I have my oldest sitting next to me, and we, you always joke that, or one always jokes that in the wine industry that your favorite wines are like your children. You know, someday it's one, and someday it's another. And one thing I always say to my wife is that one thing I love about my children is that when I look at them, I feel like I see the very best characteristics in my wife in them. And so these are three wines that when I taste them, I taste some of the very best characteristics of what our winery does and what Texas does. You know, I think that the RBM, just to come back for a second, is it's a blend of Roussanne, Viognier, and Marsanne. And I mean, I can say this now. I felt that when we tasted a year ago, it was good, but it needed a little bit of time. And I feel like that this year has been good to it. I agree with Rachel. I think the honeysuckle has started to come out. And I think that the fruit expression that we get from these Rhones is really started to come out. And the other thing that these blends make me think about that I love is our blending sessions, where we have, say a wine like our RVM or a GSM. I don't know, like yesterday on a private tasting, we talked about that we'd done 12 blending sessions for the Ranger Haze. And these are wines that I remember doing a few blending sessions about, really trying to get it right, really trying to get it right to put it back in barrel. And, that's probably, aside from working with Dad, my favorite part about the winery is tasting through the blends is, that for me is most fun. And so I think that in that sense, these wines represent, some of the best qualities I feel about our winery and some of the things that I enjoy most about being able to be a part of something like this, and especially in Texas.
Okay, but I'm going to tell a story on you, because some of the most intimidating things when we're in tasting is Joe's got his computer out and he's typing almost verbatim everything we're saying. And I'm like, I knew this was going to come back and haunt me.
No, those are for me. Those are just for me, so I can come back and I like to think about the blends. I like to have a record that I can look back, that I can come back and see what I was thinking, when we first did this. So that's that's really what those are for. Don't worry, I'm not saving them for anything
Well,
beyond.
I just want you to know that I still maintain the right to expand upon my stories as I see fit.
Of course.
Memoirs.
So, Doc, you are the resident Francophile, as I like to say, all respect, but quite frankly, it is also kind of intimidating when, doesn't this taste like, do you remember that Condru from 1977? Well, but it's more like if you go up to the upper northern part and you go into this little cafe and everybody turns and looks at you and then you sit down and you have this great glass of wine. I remember that meal. And I'm like, I wish I could remember that meal.
Me too.
Yeah.
What I want to say about this, John, is the nose on this, and Rachel, is the balance that appears in our wine, almost every one. And the balance here is, as Rachel said, this wonderful commingling of aromatic notes, honeysuckle and white flower, and all the things you think of when citrus is kind of blooming. And this is so that, in the Rhone Valley, there are 13 white grapes that are permitted, the Toisson Cépage. And they love to put these together. And so in the early stages of these wines, they're like this, and then they get incredibly complex. So what I'm especially proud about in this wine is, number one, its present appearance and taste, and where I think it's going because of the balance. We're not waiting for something to be improved with aging, but this is going to get very complicated, complex, and rich. I think it's over time. It'd be wonderful to taste this in 5 years, and I just think that's what I get out of this.
Yeah.
I agree. Well, so Susan, you asked about particular grapes for the blend. How did we decide on them? And then as a kind of a sister question to that, Miranda asked, Beverly asked what percentage of the blend. Well, we decided on that. Those are the 3 white Rhones that we do. And we knew that we wanted to make a counterpart to our GSM. And we have a Prairie, like we were saying earlier, the Prairie Cuvée, which is a Roussanne Marsanne blend. And then we do a standalone Viognier. So it was, as Joe pointed out, rightly so, it was a very involved process of deciding on the exact percentages back and forth on there. And we listed the initials according to dominance of blend. That's how we came up with the label on that one. But it was a process of, like, we loved all 3 of these wines, but they don't always work well together. Even 1 percentage point difference will either fight or make a beautiful thing. So we started really drilling down into the exact percentage points on those blends. So it took a while to get there. But what we have here is a wine that does taste beautiful now, but this wine is definitely one for the ages. It's got a decade's worth of aging left in it to really become into its full power.
While we're talking about aging, I just want to mention that the last time my grandson Nathan beat me at golf, he usually writes in large letters on the scorecard, WINNER. And last time he wrote Wiener, WIENNER. And so I wasn't sure exactly what he had in mind, but he looked at it and he said, "Richard, maybe I misspelled that." I said, "No, I'm happy with it, just as it is." Because he likes hot dogs, he likes wieners, and it's nice.
Yeah.
Nathan, buddy, you still won that round. No matter what is said, you still won.
That's right.
Okay, somebody was asking about percentages, and Nathan, I'm on your side, pal. You won that. So, the farmhouse Roussanne in here is 55%. Viognier is 25%, and then another block of Roussanne at 15%. So that brings it up to 70% Roussanne, and then 5% Marsanne from the Ready Vineyards. So the dominant varietal, of course, is the Roussanne, and then that it includes the farmhouse, the Bingham, and the Ready Vineyards. So this is a High Plains champion for sure. So Bobby, you are now the wine club coordinator, but you are also intimately involved in the tasting room. And what do you think? If I know this is a market wine, but what do you think is a general presentation wine to the public?
Oh, I mean, I think it's so great. And it is showcasing very well. I think it is definitely the best of what Texas produces and has to offer, and what we have to offer as well as a wine. And I think that just the depth of just the character of this wine is just beautiful. I mean, I think this one can showcase well in the tasting room, and then out in production as well, or out in distribution as well. So I think this is a great wine. I do agree. There is that kind of bready characteristic, almost like that yeasty characteristic that Rachel was mentioning, and then just beautiful fruit, definitely honeysuckle. Experienced a new thing out in Big Bend on the trip, the vacation, and a new kind of flower called whitebush, and it kind of smells like a jasmine and honeysuckle. And I think picking up a little bit of that in this as well.
Yeah.
So, beautiful.
That well said, absolutely.
I agree. And one thing I wanted to ask is, I feel like we deal with these three white Rhone varietals a fair amount. We deal with the Viognier, the Roussanne, and the Marsanne, and we've made a beautiful. We've obviously made some beautiful Viogniers through the years, and the Roussanne is always wonderful. We have the 18 Roussanne that's out in the market, and those two wines always seem very vibrant to me. Fairly early on. And so it's interesting to me. I don't know if John or Rachel could kind of comment on how they see Marsanne opening up or aging compared to the other two. I know it's kind of a different question, but Marsanne compared to Roussanne and Viognier.
Well, all three will age very well. However, I will tell you right now that Marsanne needs age to really open up. The Roussanne, if you remember a few years ago when we were first starting doing the Prairie Cuvée, and it was always the Roussanne that we thought was the antagonist, if you will, in the blend. And it's actually the young Marsanne. We really needed that to age. After 18 months in barrel, those honeysuckle notes really came out. So I really think Marsanne needs age. It needs barrel age. It needs aging in the bottle. It's a white wine by, every other standard. However, it behaves like a really bold red wine when it comes to time. Personally. So that's the beautiful thing about this blend too. This is a white wine you can safely put down and try in 5 or 8, 10 years. And I think you'll have a beautiful bottle of wine. Okay. I know this is going to come as a shock to all of you. And since Rachel hasn't joined us for a while, I need to remind her at the end, we're going to come up with food pairings. So keep that in mind. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Get prepared. Somebody just asked, Charles, John, what drives the acid tannin balances? Yes. Charles, I'm not quite sure what you're asking when you say what drives the acid tannin balances. They perform two different things. One's an acid, one's protein. They are certainly important in any wine grape individual. Acid for mouthfeel, certainly for the balance in the wine. The tannins a lot for structure, also for mouth, as well as, tannins are integral in preservation, long-term preservation. So if you want to clarify, I'll read the question. If I can answer it better, I will. Rachel, do you have any idea what he's talking about? Yeah.
That was clarified by Dylan Thomas in his poem, "The force that through the green fuse drives the flower, drives by green age." And that answers it, don't you think?
Say it again.
Oh my God, the fact that you're a Dylan fan really says a lot.
Doc, I'm gonna need you to repeat that one more time so we can get that.
The force that through the green fuse drives the flower, drives my green age.
I think I love that.
I do too.
I think he's talking about one of Nicholas's diapers.
Okay. I think we're gonna go on. Any other comments on the white wine before we leave this from anyone on the panel?
At what point do we get to do the handy dandy plug? And you can find this one in distribution at most of your local grocery stores or anywhere where you can find Becker wines.
I think that was the plug. And yes, you
Did I
can.
do?
Yeah.
Was it? All right.
Yeah, you did it very, very well.
Oh,
Yeah,
that was
At our
beautiful.
favorite grocery store and bottle shop. Yeah, absolutely. On to the GSM.
I have to say that, so talking about the GSM, GSM, Grenache, Syrah, Mourvèdre. So now we're talking about red Rhones. And one of the things that I have always, one of my favorite wines or favorite styles of wine that I have been introduced through Dad's wine closet are some of these wonderful. We had a anyways,
Just right, Wiener on the door. And then
that's right. No, we had actually was it a week or two ago? We had just an absolutely wonderful. Was it 2006, Dad? It was a Riffieux was the vineyard. It was Rhone. It was just absolutely beautiful, and I've always loved these style of red Rhones, the Mourvèdre, the Grenache, and to me, the GSM is one of the best wines. We've one of the best red Rhones we've made. It's beautiful. It's the Grenache is so wonderful. It's so rich in this wine, and the Mourvèdre is such a wonderful balancing act for it. I really think it's, it really speaks to the fact again that with these red varietals that we grow in, or these red Rhones, or the Rhones in general, do so well in Texas. I have to say, I think the GSM is a star. And when I was thinking about amazing blends that we've done, I was so elated to see that we haven't done the GSM in a while, and so I thought we would bring it back and talk about it because I just think it's such a lovely wine.
Right.
Um,
I agree. This is a phenomenal, really, really great blend.
I mean, once you get on the nose, you get sort of for me, the nose, you get kind of almost a strawberry raspberry note, a little bit of perfume. I think it's beautiful. Nathan, do you have any thoughts on the nose? He's thinking.
Yeah.
I would like for just a hot second to interrupt for a minute and say that if you don't swirl this glass and just let it sit still for a minute and give it a sniff, it has such a different aroma. It's very much like an allspice, like with a waxy note.
Yep.
I mean, in cinnamon. I mean, it is so pretty. And then swirl it and it evolves and becomes a whole different wine.
Yeah, I get some brown spice in there too, and it's real subtle, but somebody just mentioned, Susan was asking cloves on the nose, and yeah, Susan, absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yep.
And like white pepper and okay, that was my hot, quick interruption. Sorry.
Doc, what do you think?
My favorite wine, red wines from the Rhone. Well, there are many actually, but there are the great Syrahs like Miel Rouge from the top of the Rhone Valley. But what I love is this incredibly delicate, balanced, more Grenache containing red wine that comes from the region around Avignon, from Châteauneuf-du-Pape. And boy, when I tasted this, I just thought, golly, this is wonderful to have this expression of this fruit from Texas. Just nice job, guys.
What do you, can we dive a little deeper into here, guys? The retro nasal, has everybody had a chance to do that? Because I just swirled it around in my mouth, swallowed, and then exhaled through. And I get a little bit of wild cherry on the edge.
You bet. I do too.
Right.
Yeah.
And so just for the monotony of it, but the reason the retronasal is so important, and all that means is that after you swallow the wine, you exhale through your nose. That means nothing to that. But what it really addresses is that we only taste 4 things: sweet, sour, bitter, salt, and maybe umami, maybe savory. But we can smell hundreds of things. And so what you really think you're tasting in a great wine is really mainly what you're smelling. So if you swallow the wine and then exhale through your nose, that's going to give it the best expression to the things that are aromatic and which are really dominant in what makes a great wine.
I agree, Doc. I always say that when you swirl and sniff, you get that entry, and that the retronasal is your lingering finish.
Yes. Yeah. The finish is there. That's right. The finish is in the nose, believe it or not. That's right.
Right. A great way to express it. I've never been able to describe it that way, but the way that you described it was just beautiful.
Thank you.
Did anybody else get the idea that this wine would go really well with some flatbread and blue cheese and some warm herbs and
That'd be good.
garlic?
Absolutely.
Ooh,
We're
I
not
think it would
talking
go great
yet.
with a triple cream cheese.
Wait a minute. We got it. I have been remiss. I have totally been remiss. We forgot to call on Margaret and embarrass her.
So that's RVM.
Yeah. Is she there?
Margaret's here. She's under the table with Pebbles, our cat. So, and there.
She's not even jumping up to defend herself now.
Yeah, no. She's like, I'm not getting on the camera. You cannot make me get on the camera. All right. I need to go back and get.
Okay.
I want to pull up the blend comp on this.
So I feel like a lot of times when we talk about a GSM, the G is pretty clear, the Syrah is pretty clear, but there's
Right.
room on your M. And I've had some GSMs that are Malbecs that are not full grown varietals.
Right.
Even GSMs that are a little Merlot. So this one is Mourvedre, which I feel like is fully appropriate, but to me, it brings such a fun, like that depth and that complexity. Mourvedre to me is, especially during fermentation, it's a little funky. It's got a little weirdness to it, a little off-centered kind of a, not quite stinky footnote, but it's pushing stinky footnote.
Yeah.
And it just, even as it's aging in barrel, it's got this little funk to it. And blending it, the funk doesn't go away, but I think it melds and it blends so nicely and just highlights and plays with the other varietals. Bring that bright premium.
And
I'm
Rachel, no, along those lines, and John, I'd like to, I know the style of these red Rhones that I've been lucky to get to try from Dad, but I'm just curious, when you guys think about GSM, what are some wines or producers that you all think about that come to mind when you taste our wine, or that you were thinking about when you were blending it?
I thought we were the only one that did GSM.
Sorry. Go ahead, John.
No, I don't know if any one particular producer came out. I've had quite a few GSMs, and they actually happen to be one of my favorite. But love the Rhone and always have. So, but GSMs, I will make fun of them. Do not get me wrong. I do make fun of GSM and kind of poke fun at the whole, the haunt culture around the GSM idea. But they are damn good wines, and if you and you can get them in everything. There's no set percentage. Our Grenache is actually, of the GSM, is the least amount of the 3 initials in there. There's only 6% Grenache in this blend, so you can play with it. Next year's GSM is going to be completely different. So, but I have to agree with Rachel on this one. I'm really siding on the fact that I'm really diving into the Mourvedre component on here.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little bit of Counois in there. There's a little bit of Cinsault in here. And honestly, there's just a touch of Petite Syrah and Barbera as well. So, which is kind of fun to play with. But they're the G, S, and M are all there. But and yes, I know Barbera is not a Rhone varietal. Please don't email me and correct me. I'm aware of where it's from. I guess it was about 6-8 months ago, got a nice email from one of our followers correcting me about talking about Zinfandel and where it was from. So, and thank you for that update. I hadn't realized that Zinfandel was grown on the West Coast.
Primitivo.
Look at Rachel's. Oh my God.
I left one sticky note on your desk.
Yeah. But Joe, I wish I could give you a clear answer. Rachel, do you have?
Right. I'm just curious.
No, and that's such a great question. And, you know, off the top of my head, like you said, John, like there's so many great wines that I've had.
Yeah.
None of them come to mind at the moment. Not a single one.
And Debbie writes, a very versatile wine. Yes, Debbie, it is. It goes
I will
well
say,
in a
one of the
glass.
things I'm sorry. Versatile.
just-
Lots of glasses. Is that what you said?
Yeah, it goes well in a glass. It
All of
goes
them.
well in, you know, in a cup. Does equally well in the bottle too.
One of the things that I really like about this wine is that it is such a medium light bodied wine, but the aromas and the flavors are so big. Like there's so much hitting you in the face, and then to drink it,
Mhm.
that medium to light bodied, I think allows it to pair with so many or so much food.
Mhm.
Opens up the food gamut.
And also to, you know, kind of showcase in Texas summer. I mean, since, you know,
Yeah.
on the lighter side, I mean, you know, we do a lot of barbecues and whatnot in Texas summertime. And, you know, I mean, you could probably chill this a little bit, kind of, you know, bring down the temperature. And I think it
Good.
would go great.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Bobby, you do know that the wines they drink in paradise we make here in Texas, right?
Yes.
You horribly paraphrase that quote, but you know, it works.
It does.
All right. Okay, I am not getting any questions about the GSM. Does anybody want to wax eloquent about the GSM any further? No? Okay. I think, Joe, you need to lead us off on the piece de la resistance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy to. So, I did not pick this wine because it has nothing to do with the fact that John and I love movies. Thinking about Coppola, but the reason I chose it is it's such an interesting story. It was such a to begin as a 1,500 case a year winery, and then to get to a point now where a winery like Coppola and their wonderful CEO Corey Beck had reached out to us about doing a collaboration together, and giving that the wine is 50% from their vineyards and 50% from our vineyards, and really gave all of the blending control to John and Rachel. And it's just so cool to see how our wonderful Texas Bordeaux's are competing with these famous vineyards in Napa. And I think it's I think we Bordeaux varietals we also do very well here in Texas. And so it's such a treat to be able to do this with the Coppola Vineyards. And for me, thinking that and maybe I'm not sure there's any estate grapes in this, but thinking that some of the grapes that I planted in '92 would someday potentially be blended with Coppola is kind of cool to think about. To think that all that crawling around on my hands and knees, and that maybe in fact Mom and I did do something right when the way we were planting grapes that we got here. So anyways, and with that said, I don't think there's any estate in this, but either way, I think it's a cool idea, and I also just love this wine. I think it's a great It's almost a claret, isn't that right? It's and actually, what's interesting is Coppola and Becker are really the only two or a few wineries that actually still make a claret that we are able to claim that name. Claret being what the English refer to as the traditional Bordeaux blend. Usually of Cab Franc, Merlot, Petit Verdot, and Malbec. So it was, I think, two wineries with sort of similar approaches, different regions coming together to make, I think, a great wine.
Well, and let's not forget the unknown stepchildren of that, of the Carmenere and the Petit Massang. So
Yes.
yeah, that oddly enough, Rachel and I were just having a discussion this afternoon with Petit Massang.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, so the idea behind this, it is an even 50-50 split between Texas and California. And the varietal, of course, the dominant varietal is 78% Cabernet. The Merlot is 9%, Cab Franc is 8%, and the Petit Verdot is 5%. And so we used equal portions from each vineyard. Or each winery. So it was a fun blend to do. And it gave me ample opportunity to tease Corey Beck, whom I worked for a long time ago. He was the winemaker at a small winery that I was working at in Calistoga. He, oddly enough, was the one who introduced me to the varietal Charbonneau. So it goes back a long way, and I'm not going any further back, but we'll just say that electricity had not yet made it up to Calistoga. So
There were I don't mean to hog the conversation, but two things that I feel like belong to Texas that are in this wine.
Mm-hmm.
Is I was just looking at my phone. I was looking at the growers. Number one is this beautiful, rich kind of green pepper that blends in so well. I feel like that's such a wonderful characteristic of Texas Cabernets. And I also like to think that there's some of Drew's grapes from Mason County in this, but I do think this has some of the High Plains dust to it.
Yes.
I think I was just thinking, and I think those are things we can claim in that from Texas.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
No, John, the way to think about this is the great television series about British barristers, the character who loved claret, and he would go walk into a bar or a pub and ask for a glass of Thames Embankment, right? Mm-hmm. And apparently the embankment of the Thames River is foul, both in aromatic and in taste. So instead of claret, he would say, "I'll have a glass of Thames Embankment." So when we talk about West Texas dust, and I think that's the way to think about this wine, and then it's all uphill from there. I mean, is this being helpful?
Yes, absolutely, because I'm sure everyone watching right now has absolutely understands that reference.
What's fair is foul, and foul is fair.
Fair. Yeah. So thank you. Now we all know that we watch PBS.
Along for the ride.
I'm along for the ride. Yeah. So Rachel,
yeah, this is good.
What are you getting in this wine besides Tim's Embankment? What else?
So I'm so very proud. I'm a step above foul. This is okay. So my first thought was going from the GSM to this. Anybody has ever needed a comparison about what is a light or medium to light tannin wine to a nicely structured, a good comparison. Now, I mean, at first sip, I was like, "Yep, those are tannins in the mouth."
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, this has improved since last spring. So the last time I tried it was when we actually had Corey on in spring of 2020, late spring, early summer. So a year. It's been a year since I've had this wine. This is going to go a long way. This is starting the richness is starting to really come forward. the
I
pyrazines
agree
are
with that.
starting to develop into more darker notes instead of that overwhelming bell pepper edge.
I want to say I agree with Joe, and you know, it was such an honor to have them think that maybe they'd like to compare their claret with ours and blend the two together. And you know, they sold this wine in their tasting room. We sold it in ours. It was just it's the way the wine industry ought to work. It was a treat.
Yeah, it really was. It was nice. It was nice to be able to do that. And so I love to tell David, our sales guy, that we're doing more projects like that. I like the way his face contorts and his breathing becomes very rapid. The sweat pours down. It's really an interesting reaction. So, Bobby, I have not yet heard from you about this wine. And yes, we're going to go back to Joe and Doc here in a moment. But what are you getting out of this wine, sir?
So there have been many nights where I've had the Coppola claret, and I really, I mean, it's a beautiful wine, and what's funny is that I can bring out, like Joe was you know, putting that, can bring out the best of the Texas quality as well. So you know, that red Texas soil, that Texas red soil, the high plains soil, and then that green, the pyrazines kind of, and it's not like you're saying. I've had it earlier and it was just so bright. This is just mellowed out and it's just so beautiful. I love the like Rachel was saying, the tannin structure, that you can kind of chew on it. I mean, it's almost chewy. It's got that not so much jammy quality, but it lingers, and it's a really beautiful wine. So I'm really excited about this wine and how it's going to develop even more.
And is it appropriate for us to disclose the fact that we're going to start selling it at the tasting room now that it's been out of commerce for a while?
That's,
Think that
Or should we keep that under wraps?
in the world.
What?
yeah.
No, we can keep it a secret. We don't need to tell anybody. I am sure that our followers won't say a word.
No. If we got it, we got it.
Right. Well, somebody just asked, Anne asked, how many more years will this keep? Panel, I want everybody's opinion.
A bunch, yeah. 10, 15, 20.
10 at
Yeah.
least.
At least. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know about you, but mine's only going to keep for about another 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
No, this absolutely was a fun wine to make, and I very much enjoyed the fact that it's beautifully developed. So yeah, we will be releasing it into the tasting room soon. So it was out last year in the marketplace. We kept back a few hundred cases because we knew we wanted to revisit it as a library release. So we will certainly make an announcement when we do re-release it in the tasting room. It'll probably be this fall in time for wonderful holiday weather. Which
And I think the other thing, just to think, talking about clarets, just to remember that we originally planted our back vineyard with Chardonnay, obviously a Burgundian varietal, but we planted the other part of that field as if to produce a claret in a sense. If we had Cab Franc, Merlot, Petit Verdot, and Malbec, and those varietals have always done well in Texas, particularly Petit Verdot is a blending varietal. So I think just to say again, I think it's fun to see another evolution of what we've been doing in Texas with this wine.
Mhm.
Anyone who asks for Tim's and Bankman gets a free glass. So just remember that. And
did you see that, Bobby? We're going to take this off the YouTube channel.
The flashing
Right.
right.
Okay, well, maybe we'll have a Tim's and Bakeman weekend. It'll be our Easter egg.
that would be good.
We'll announce it on Facebook, Tim's and Bakeman weekend, and they have to announce that's what they want. They can't ask what it is.
Yeah.
That'll be awesome. Okay, guys, it's getting towards that time where we really want to focus in on the most important things. Do these wines go with gummy bears?
I'm
Give
all
it a thumbs up. Give it a thumbs up.
Thumbs
They
up.
also apparently go well with after a round of golf where we beat Richard.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yes, they do. Absolutely. So anybody who asks for a Richard 9-1, what do they get? 2 glasses? No. Okay. Question: why is the claret in France more like a rosé? Thanks. That's from Margot. Doc, do you want to address this? Because I haven't seen.
I'm not quite here. Why is the claret in France?
Why is the claret in France more like a rosé? I think they're referring to the color, the lightness of color.
Oh, it's not light. I think order another bottle. I mean, no, they're wonderfully dark and rich. Sure.
Let me throw this
I
out.
know.
If he's not actually thinking about a claret, it's just like talking about a claret.
Claret, yeah, the Rhone red varietal. That's a good.
That's
Claret.
different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I apologize, Margot. If that's
version of the Bordeaux.
right. I didn't even think of that. Thank you, Rachel.
You're welcome. That's why I'm here.
That's fine. You have my number?
I got all your numbers.
Yeah. Okay, food time, guys. So I want you to pick a wine and a dish. So Bobby, I'm going to start with you because you're on the hot seat.
Oh my goodness. Wow. I was talking about goat earlier today. So
Bobby,
I
I've
know.
never been so odd.
Wow, Rico,
I'm
nice.
thinking exactly. So we had this cabrito tacos at a place in Houston a few years back, and the cilantro and onions. I think that would go great with this all the way across the board.
All of them.
Okay, all of them. Hey, Doc, I do have a question from a viewer. So what defines a claret?
Well, no, claret, it's pronounced claret in English. And so the English refer to any red Bordeaux as claret.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a great claret, C-L-A-I-R-E-T-T-E, a different,
Yes.
that's totally different. But no, it's just the English have long referred to, they've always felt they own France. And as Churchill said at the end of the 15th century, the French had discovered they could not defeat the English in battle, and the English had determined they could not take France from the French. So that's where that ended. But they've always referred to a red Bordeaux as claret, and that's what we call our Cabernet Merlot, Cabernet Franc blends.
Right. Okay. All right. And Sam just suggested the RVM with grilled cod.
Ooh, I was thinking similarly. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Joe, why don't you pick a dish and a wine?
Okay, I'm going to be my pick is very boring. My pick would be similarly maybe even Dover Sole with the RVM. But Nathan's pick very specifically is homemade Bluebell vanilla with gummy bears. And
Nathan, I expect to have some the next time you come up to the winery.
You gave him dollars for that.
Yeah.
Man after my own heart.
Yeah, I know, right? So Rachel, what would be your pick?
Okay,
Dish
I
and a
felt
wine.
like I was a little threatened earlier, so I have been doing my very good due diligence to come up with several dishes, and now you have to listen to all of them.
Okay.
Because I am on board with any kind of a shellfish with the RVM, or if you could take a giant cinnamon roll and actually remove the icing, which if you know me is bizarre because I do live for the icing. But if you could take the icing off and just eat the cinnamon roll with the RVM, I'd be a happy girl.
Nice.
Now I get to do two. So I think a spicy sausage with a summer and a zucchini squash, bedding with some red onions
Yeah. Oh,
and tomatoes
okay.
would be delicious.
I'm liking where this is going.
Right? To dinner.
Yeah. I know, to dinner, right? Doc, do you have a dish and a wine?
I'm going to have our chefs, Sean and Michael, make a wonderful vichyssoise, which I
Oh,
want to have with the RVM.
yeah.
You know, I like the way you're going because I have, I don't know if you're Patricia Wells, home in Provence. She's got this beautiful cookbook, and we've made this artichoke parmesan and black truffle soup with the white
Oh, wow.
the RVM.
Wow, those
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go that route. And the gratin d'Afouane with the GSM, which is just an excuse to boil potatoes and bake them in heavy cream and cheese. You know,
and
Always
they-
a good idea.
and and if you put a fancy name to it, there's no fat or calories in it.
None whatsoever.
And Bobby, for you, earmarked spicy lamb curry with yogurt and apples, which I think also goes with the
Ooh.
GSM.
That would be wonderful.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, now can you tell I'm finally unpacking all the cookbooks after painting the kitchen? They're all going back on the shelves.
Yes.
So we're gonna expect that soup as leftovers for lunch one day at work.
That's going to happen. Yeah.
That's all you want. I can tell you. I can tell you right now, they probably wouldn't make it to the leftover category.
So I know where you live.
I did, you do indeed. But just remember, Rachel, truffle season isn't until November, December. So,
You mean my birthday?
yeah. Well, and that's why truffle season. That's for this.
This is working out great, guys. This is great.
Perfect.
Okay, Bobby, what's online for next week, sir?
That would happen to be your choices, sir.
And
So,
Rachel, you and John and Rachel, right?
yes.
Yep. And Rachel just made her choices today, so that'll be and Will did too. So we'll flip a coin as who goes next.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah. So next week we got week 69. And these are 2 library releases. So you have the beautiful Counoise, the 2017 Counoise, which is phenomenal. We have the 2014 Cheval Noir, which we have been showcasing as a complimentary tasting and the wine club area on the weekends. And then our 2016 Grenache Reserve, which is just tasting beautifully right now, which we do have in the tasting right now.
Yes.
I want to taste that. Yeah.
I think that'll be a good choice.
I'm excited.
I hope everybody enjoys it. So have we come up with the parameters for running a contest with our viewers on a choice if they send in their choices yet? I know we've been talking about it. So Bobby,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
I know that we've done one
Yep.
with viewer's choice. We might have to kind of revisit that and see about getting viewers' choices. So,
Okay.
That'd be a good idea.
I think look for an email coming out next week, and we'll have some of the guidelines for that, and hopefully we will get some great things. And Carolyn and Robert, if you're watching, guess who I'm calling this week? So, exactly. All righty. Anybody else? Any final words, Doc, Joe?
No, everybody hang in and take care of yourself and your family and protect the people around you with vaccine.
Yeah,
Cheers.
absolutely. Cheers. Thank you again, everybody, for allowing us in your home this week. See you next week. Good health and good wine.
thanks, guys.
Well,